Okay, let's talk for just a second about what you would do if you were on a computer that didn't belong to you. How you would go about making things bigger so that you could see them. If you're using a computer, for instance, at the library or at a friend's house or someone else's computer, you aren't going to be able to change the settings, or at least you shouldn't. If you're at the public library, you won't be able to change the settings. They have those things locked down so that you can't get to them. So how do you go about changing the size of things? Well, there's a tool on your computer called the Magnifier, and I'm going to show you how to use that. In order to turn on the Magnifier, go down to your Start button, go to All Programs, go to Accessories, Accessibility, and choose Magnifier. And that will turn on your magnifier. And you should have a little window that looks like this with your magnifier settings. And you'll notice that at the top of my screen, I have a view that is larger than the view at the bottom of my screen. It's been split in half. The top part of my screen has been magnified, and that's the magnifier view. And the bottom part of my screen is my normal desktop view. Let's take a look at these magnifier tools for just a minute. At the top of our magnifier tools, it says magnification level, and right now it's at 2. That means everything in the top window is twice as big as everything in the bottom window. I can use the drop-down menu and I can choose several different sizes. If I choose, for instance, 9, which is the largest size in here, everything becomes bigger by a factor of 9, and it is very large. And you can see as I follow around that is following my mouse, and it is a lot bigger. It might come in handy to see things that are harder to see when they're at a smaller magnification level. I'm going to change this magnification level back to 2 just so that we can see more in our magnifier. And you'll notice below the magnification level there are 3 tracking options. There's the option to follow the mouse cursor, which I have marked right now, follow the keyboard focus, and follow text editing. And at this point right now, with all 3 clicked, this magnifier will follow all 3 things, following the mouse cursor first, the keyboard focus next, and the text editing last. Okay, I want to go ahead and open Internet Explorer, and you notice that it tracked my mouse right down to my Internet Explorer button, so I can see it larger, and I can click on that and open my Internet Explorer. And I think there's my Google, and as I move my mouse around, it's kind of making me seasick. I don't really want it to be following my mouse right now because that's kind of weird. So I'm going to take off follow mouse cursor. So I'm going to take that off, and now notice it's not following my mouse at all. So when I click in the Google search bar, notice that it jumped right to where I clicked, because the only thing marked now is follow keyboard focus and follow text editing. So my keyboard focus now is on the iGoogle search box. And I think we're going to search for Wikipedia. And there it is. So let's go to Wikipedia. And there it is. So we're going to send our Internet Explorer over to the Wikipedia website. And there it is. I think I'll turn on my... Notice that when I got to the Wikipedia website, it immediately jumped right down to the only input bar on this website, and that's because it's following the keyboard focus. And because the mouse automatically jumped into that box, the screen or the magnifier automatically jumped to that point as well. And that's kind of nice. And it'll only do that if you leave off follow the mouse cursor. You leave that unchecked. So I'm going to go ahead and type in here Presidents of the United States. And we'll have it search for that. Okay, here it is, and I'm moving my mouse around, but you can't see me moving my mouse around. Notice that this time it jumped to the top left-hand corner of the page. That's because there's nowhere on this page for keyboard input, or at least my mouse didn't jump into any keyboard input here. So I might want to turn on my follow mouse cursor at this point, just so that I can scroll a little bit easier around in the window. So as I scroll around in the window, you see it up there in the magnified window, and it's bigger. It's a little bit easier to follow around at this point. I can also change the size of my magnification window by putting my cursor on the little bar that runs between the normal window and the magnified window until I get this double-headed arrow, and then I can click and drag to make my magnified window smaller if I need to, so that I can see more information down here in the bottom. I can scroll scroll, and this kind of will make you a little bit seasick as I start to scroll because it's following my mouse. But I can scroll down, and here's a table that I can look at. Now, if you're looking at something, now most everything in Wikipedia is a white background with black text. And if you're looking at that and that's difficult for you to read, notice that there is an option over here in my magnifier to invert the colors. So I can click on Invert Colors, and it changes everything that was white to black and everything that was black to white, and all the blue links are now orange links. And even down at the bottom, my taskbar has changed color. It's very bright. The colors are very bright, and it's easier to see my icons and things of that nature. Now, if this is something that's easy for you to see, great, you might want to use this option. But for some people, reading white text on a black background hurts their eyes and it's difficult. So you'll have to choose this setting depending on what is comfortable for you. I'm going to go ahead and turn it off, and we're back to where we were before. Also, my magnifier box, my tools, sit on my desktop. And notice that they're blocking some of the text. If I don't want my magnifier there, I can either minimize it down, or I can just click on Show Magnifier to take off the little green check mark, and it will stay that way until I change it again. So if I close this program with that check mark off, the next time I open it, it won't show the magnifier toolbox. Instead, the magnifier toolbox will be down here on my desktop, on my taskbar at the bottom. Okay, now if you have any other questions about your magnifier, I encourage you to open it, to use it, to play around with it and see what it does. The magnification level can come in really handy to see things that are very small. And this is very handy to use on a computer that doesn't belong to you. Now, these options that I've shown you with the magnifier are the options that are in Windows XP, because that's what I'm using on my computer. If you're using Windows 7, I will provide for you in the slideshow a link you can go to get more information about using the magnifier in Windows 7. There's a lot more options in the new magnifier than you've seen here. Have fun playing with the magnifier.